Today we're working on section 3.3. If you know how to divide, this can be a pretty simple section. We're just learning how to divide decimals by whole numbers, and then we're going to get into decimals divided by decimals, which is going to get a little more complicated, I think, in section 3.5. Anyway, for today, 3.3, taking a decimal, dividing it by a whole number. Let's start with just a whole number divided by a whole number. So this is in your notes. So remember, when we write this with the fraction symbol, we reverse it so the divisor goes out in front, the dividend goes inside. And if we've got 1068 divided by 6, 6 can't go into 1, 6 can go into 10 one time. Minus 6 gives me a 4, so 10 minus 6 is 4. I bring down this 6. 6 goes into 46. Oh boy, I don't know how many times 6 goes into 46. Must be around 8. So 6 times 8 is 48, so it must be 7 times. 7 times, because 6 times 7 is 42. So I'm going to minus 42 from here, which gives me 4. I bring down the 8. And I know that 6 times 8 is 48. So it's got to be an 8 right here. Minus 48 is 0. Okay. If you don't know what's going on there, you better see me, because you got to know how to just do plain old whole numbers divided by whole numbers. That was section 3.1. So I could help you out with that. But I just kind of ran through it quickly here. But this is the same process we're going to do for taking 10.68 divided by 6. So notice these are the same numbers. I just threw in a decimal point here. We're going to write it out the same way. 10.68 divided by 6. So I swap them. I put them inside the division symbol. And then I'm going to go through and divide them the same way. 6 can't go into 1. 6 goes into 10 one time. Minus 6 gives me a 4. The only difference here is when I get to this decimal point, I need to bring it up to the top. And then I'm just going to bring this, I'm not even going to put a decimal on the bottom. I'm just going to bring down this 6 and make it 46. I'm ignoring that decimal point like it doesn't even exist. I put it up on the top, but I ignore it down here. If you really wanted to, you could put it as 4.6, but just treat it like a plain old 46. 6 goes into 46 how many times? Over here we said 7 times, which is minus 42, which gives me a 4. I got to bring down the 8. 6 goes into 48 8 times. Minus 48 is 0. So my answer is 1.78. Over here I had 178. Now I've got 1.78. All I did was do the division. Down here I'm basically ignoring the decimal point, and then I'm bringing the decimal point up for this one. The one thing that's important would be just making sure you're lining things up properly. So I got to make sure that decimal point is between the 0 and the 6 here. It's got to stay in the same place here. So it was 10 divided by 6 was 1, and then point for the second number. So make sure you keep the decimal in the right place. Next one, same numbers again, just moving the decimal point. So now I've got 106.8 divided by 6. 6 goes and can't go into 1. 6 goes into 10 one time. Minus 6 gives me a 4. I bring down this 6. 6 goes into 46 7 times. 6 times 7 is 42, which gives me 4. Now, before I go to this next number, I've got this decimal point. Just make sure you bring that up to the top, right? So it was between the ones place and the tenths place. It should be between the ones place and the tenths place up here. All right, I bring down this 8. I'm not even bothering to put the decimal down here. As long as I have it on top, I'm fine. 6 goes into 48 8 times. Minus 48 is 0. So no magic. Same thing we've been doing for the whole chapter. The only thing is we're just going to move that decimal point up when we're divided. So easy peasy. Let's do a couple of practice problems down on the bottom, and we'll call it good. Getting into the examples, we've got 66.78 divided by 6. Notice that it says divide and check. So we've got to check our work. We've got to show that. So on your homework, you got to make sure you're showing your checking. So check your work, show that on your homework. All right, 66.78 divided by 6. We are going to write this out. Remember, we're going to flip the divisor and the dividend. I haven't been seeing that in anybody's work this year, which is really good. I'm just going to take this decimal point. I'm just going to write it up above right away, all right? 6 goes into 6 how many times? 1 time. Minus 6 is 0. I bring down the next 6. How many times 6 go into 6? 1 time. I put that up there, easy peasy. Now because I've got this decimal point here, I just am going to continue on without even worrying about a decimal on the bottom. As long as I have the decimal up on the top, What I do down here doesn't matter with that. All right, so 6 minus 6 is 0. I bring down the 7. 6 goes into 7 one time. 6 times 1 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down this 8. And 6 goes into 18 3 times. So we end up with 11.13. So doing the exact same math, just bringing that decimal point up. Now, how do you check this? Okay, well, I know that 66.78 divided by 6 is 11.13. That tells me that 6 times 11.13 should be equal to 66.78. So we're going to check it by doing the reverse operation. If 66.78 divided by 6 equals 11.13, then it should be true that 11.13 times 6 equals 66.78. So the dividend divided by the divisor equals the quotient, then the quotient times the divisor should equal the dividend. So you should be able to reverse this operation. So instead of 11.13 going at the end, it goes first, the 6 goes at the middle still, and then the 66.78 goes at the end. Well, we know how to multiply because we did this in chapter 2, so we're multiplying decimals. 11.13 times 6, right? Well, how many decimals do we have in this one? I know it's been a while. We've got 2 decimals, right? So we've got 2 decimals in this problem. So we're just going to turn this into a plain old 1,113 times 6, and then we're going to add 2 decimals in at the end, right? 6 times 3 is 18, carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 1 is 6. And I have to have 2 decimals in it, so I get 66.78, which was what my original dividend was. So this checks. Okay, so on your homework, I need to see this, where you find the answer, and then I need to see you check it by multiplying the decimals, or the decimal times the whole number. So you have to do both steps for this, otherwise it's not considered to be done. All right, I'm going to erase this whole thing so I have room for the next one. 9.45 divided by 15. 9.45 divided by 15. We're going to set this up the same way. We'll put it in our division sign. So the divisor goes out in front, 9.45 here. I'm just going to move that decimal point up right away. All right. 15 goes into 9 how many times? 0 times. Can't do it there. 15 goes into 94. How many times? I'm pretty sure the answer is 6. Let's just check that real quick. So 5 times 6 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. It's got to be 90. Otherwise, I'm going to get 105 if I add 15 more. So I can go into here 6 times, which is minus 90. Notice I'm ignoring the decimal point down on the bottom. I put the decimal point up here, but here I'm just treating it as 94 minus 90 is 4. All right, I bring down the 5. And I know that 15 goes into 45 3 times. So 15 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Goes in there 45. Or is equal to 45. 15 times 3 is 45, so I minus 45, and I get 0. That works out. Let's check our answer, though. So it's not enough to just find your answer. You got to check it, too. So to check it, I'm just reversing this. If my dividend divided by my divisor is equal to a quotient of 0.63, then the opposite should be true. 0.63 times 15 should equal 9.45. I want to see if that's true. To see if it's true, I'm just going to do the multiplication. So 0.63, actually let me erase that. I'm going to count up how many decimals first. Again, I've got 2 decimals in this one. Then I'm going to change it to whole numbers. So I've got 63 times 15. All right, just remember, change them both whole numbers. Just make sure you have 2 decimals in your answer. 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 6 is 18. I've got to add those together. I get a 5, a 4, an 11. Carry the 1. I get 2, 1, 4, 5. What did I do? Something did not work out right there in that one. 0.63, 15, 9.45. I did not get the right answer. So either I made a mistake over here, or I made a mistake when I was multiplying. Let me check my multiplication here first. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31. And then 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 6. How do I get 1 times 6 is 18, or no, 1 times 6 is 6. Let's see if that works out a little bit better. So I get 5, 4, 9, 1. Oh, there wouldn't be a 1 there, I'm sorry. I teach math, yeah. So I ended up with 945, but I have 2 decimals in there. So sorry, I made some mistakes when I was doing my check-in. I get 9.45. So it does work out correctly. So it checks. All right, next up. Some of your papers might have the wrong number on there because I corrected it later. We're not going to have any remainders on these. So if your paper's wrong, just fix it. It should say 16.184 divided by 17. Some of you have a 6 there. Put a 4 there if it's not. Otherwise, you get a remainder. We're not going to do remainders with decimals. Okay, so to solve this one, I'm just going to flip-flop it again. 17 going into 16.184. I'm just going to bring that decimal point up right away. Make sure I keep the position. 17 can't go into 16. It goes in there 0 times. So I am going to put a 0 there. 17 goes into 16, 0. Normally I don't put the zeros, but because I've got the decimal, I'm going to put a 0 just as a placeholder. All right, next we've got 17 going into 161. It's got to be 9 times because 10 times 17 would be 170. So 17 less than that. Let's just double check though. 17 times 9. 9 times 7 is 63. Carry the 6. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 6 is 15. I get 153. So if it goes in there 9 times, I got a minus 153. I want to make sure I line this up real nice. So to subtract, we're going to borrow. 11 minus 3 is 8. 5 minus 5 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. Cool. Let's bring down this next 8. 17 going into 88. I know 15 goes into 96 times. This is a larger number than that, so I'm guessing it's going to go in there 5 times. Let's check that out. 7 times 5 is 35. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. Yeah, it's got to be 85. So it can go in there 5 times. Minus 85 is 3. I bring down the 4. How many times can 17 go into 34? That's twice. 17 times 2 is 34. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. 34 minus 34 equals 0. All right. Awesome. We've got the answer, but it's not enough. We need to check our answer. So let's go ahead and just check this out. So I'm saying 16.184 divided by 17 is equal to 0.952. If that's true, then the reverse is true. 0.952 times 17 should give me 16.184. So 0.952 times 17 should be 16.184. Make sure on your homework you're not only doing the work, but you're checking it when you're done. All right, to solve this one, I've got 3 decimals on this one. Then I'm going to change it to whole numbers. 952 times 17. All right, 7 times 2 is 14. Carry the 1. 7 times 5 is 35. Plus 1 is 36. Carry the 3. 7 times 9 is 63. Plus 3 is 66. Then we go to the ones. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 9 is 9. I add those together. I got 4, 8, 11. Carry the 1. 16. And I need to have 3 decimals. So I got to put the decimal point right there. So 16.184, which is what I started with, it checks out. It's good to go. I don't know, it works. All right, last problem. I hope I didn't choose one with a bunch of big numbers again, so that takes me a long time to work through. All right, last one. Ooh, we've got a decimal that we're starting out with. Like no numbers in the ones place. 0.2156 divided by 22. Again, we switch the divisor and the dividend when we put them into this symbol, 2156. I got to move that decimal point up. I am going to put a 0 here. So how many times does 22 go into 0? It goes in there 0 times. So I put a 0 there. Next up, I have 22 going into 2. How many times does 22 go into 2? 0. This is kind of an important point. Once we work into the right of the decimal point, we've got to put zeros in. Don't skip it. So 22 goes into 2 how many times? 0 times. If I don't put that 0 there, I won't have a placeholder and I'll get the wrong number. Like it won't be far enough to the right. So 22 goes into 2 0 times. 22 going into 21, 0 times. Make sure you're putting the zeros up there. It's really important on this one. 22 into 215, it's got to be 9 times because 10 times 22 is 220. So we got to be a little bit less than that. 9 times 2 is 18, carry the 1. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 1 is 19, so I get 198. So this goes in 9 times minus 198. 15, borrow from this. 15 minus 8 is 7. We got to borrow from this one. 10 minus 9 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. We bring down this 6. How many times is 22 going to 176? I'm not sure. It's probably 22 less than this, so I'm going to guess 8 times. 22 times 8. 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 1 is 17. Look at that, my numbers work out. It goes in there 8 times, minus 176 is 0. So that's my answer. I believe that 0.2156 divided by 22 equals 0.0098. Well, let's check it to make sure that's true. Now, if I hadn't been putting those zeros in here, I would have ended up with 0.98, and that would have been wrong. So make sure 22 goes into 2s. How many times? 0 times. Make sure you're putting zeros up there. All right, to check it out, I got to do the multiplication. I said this was pretty easy, but it's easy, but it's a lot of work. So if 0.2156 divided by 22 is 0.0098, then that tells me 0.0098 times 22 should be equal to 0.2156. So I'm just running this in reverse. All right, we got a lot of decimals on this one. Looks like we've got 4 decimals. So I should have 4 decimals in my answer when I'm done with this one. All right, if I get rid of the decimals, it becomes 98 times 22. I like it when you got 2 2s. It makes it a lot easier. 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. 2 times 8 is 16, carry the 1. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. We're going to add these together. 6, 5, carry the 1, 11, carry the 1. I get 21.56. So I need to have 4 decimals, so the decimal point goes out in front. 0.2156, which is what I had right here. It checks out. We did a good job. All right, pretty simple concept, just a lot of work to get these done, a lot of arithmetic. Let me know if you need any help.